A rare 500-year-old map may hide the secret location of the Fountain of Youth. Could this mythical source of immortality have actually been discovered somewhere in America? Following a hidden message on a 1511 map of the Caribbean, we'll retrace the footsteps of two legendary conquistadors. From the Florida coast...
This is mapping his movement, searching for the Fountain of Youth.
...to the wilds of Arkansas.
What secrets do you hold?
We'll deploy state-of-the-art 3D mapping technology.
This is ridiculous.
To discover long-forgotten caverns.
I've got a chamber here, man.
Hiding hand-carved coded maps.
Dude, holy it's a petroglyph.
That may finally lead us to the waters of eternal life. The Fountain of Youth. Our world is full of mysteries that time forgot. But maps hold the answers, if you know how to read them. I'm international explorer Justin Fornell. This is the kind of spot people would have taken shelter. I've led scientific expeditions around the globe and served as a fellow in the famed Explorers Club. I use my collection of ancient maps to unlock the secrets of our world. This might not be a legend or a myth. This might be historic fact. Along with my partner and expert guide, Emiliano Rupra, who's forged a career in the most dangerous places on Earth, we'll follow clues left behind in ancient and modern maps. As science advanced, so did cartography. To unearth lost relics, uncover forgotten civilizations, and solve humanity's greatest mysteries. Where X marks the spot. For centuries, human pursuit of eternal youth has dominated legends across the world. Nearly every culture has a version of a magical source of water, thought to be able to restore youth to the elderly and cure any ailment. The Fountain of Youth.
Stories of the Fountain of Youth go back thousands of years. From Gilgamesh in Mesopotamia to the Crusades, all the way really to the New World.
Following Christopher Columbus's voyage to the Americas in 1492, a rush of Spanish explorers, known as conquistadors, set out to the Americas in search of gold and precious resources. But one of these conquistadors, a man named Juan Ponce de Leon, starts to look for something he believes is more valuable than gold.
Historians have hotly debated the outcome of Ponce de Leon's mission. The official story says he was on a government-sanctioned mission to seek out gold and to seize lands. But others say he was actually on a secret mission to seek out the source of the Fountain of Youth. It's hard to know if there's any truth to a legend this fantastical. But if Ponce de Leon did find it, why has no one been able to uncover the secret location of the Fountain of Youth?
The answer may be hidden in this 500-year-old map. So this is a map made by famous Italian cartographer Peter Martyr, and it's very interesting. It's made in 1511. This is the map that Ponce de Leon would have personally used when exploring the New World.
The cartographer wrote something really interesting. He says, "There's an island in which there is a perennial spring, running water of marvelous virtue, that it makes old men young again in the New World." This could be a reference to the Fountain of Youth, which means that this map could be our guide to finding it.
I mean, if you look at this closely, it appears to be some kind of hidden writing. Like, I don't know if it's within the original map or if it's beneath it, but you see all this here?
Right.
I mean, take a look at that.
I mean, if you flip it, it kind of looks like it's written in Latin, but it's really impossible to read. What if this is a coded message that Peter Martyr left, and Ponce de Leon used it in his quest to find the Fountain of Youth?
I think you and I need to get these words analyzed and find out exactly what this map is trying to tell us.
Sunny San Diego. I lined up some time with a specialist in old European maps, especially ones dealing with the age of exploration.
Nice.
So if there's any clues, he'll help us figure out what's in there. Alex.
Emiliano, Justin, great to meet you.
Alex Clausen is the gallery director at Barry Lawrence Rudderman Antique Maps Incorporated, a veritable treasure trove of rare and exotic maps dating back centuries. We've been really just taking a deep dive into this 1511 Peter Martyr map, and we thought you might be able to give us a little more information.
Well, I've got something really surprising for you guys today.
Oh, please, lead the way.
Let's take a look. So this is our vault where we keep most of our maps. We've got about 10,000 maps, anywhere from the 15th up to the 20th century.
Oh, man. Leave me in here for a few hours.
But in here, I've got a really special thing to show you.
Wow.
This is the original 1511 Peter Martyr map of the Caribbean.
It's just unbelievable. As a map enthusiast, so oftentimes I'm looking at a copy of a copy. To be in the presence of a true Peter Martyr 1511 map is such a rare pleasure.
The Spanish Empire in America was built on this map. I mean, this was the key to the Caribbean. So much so that in 1511, Ferdinand actually issued a decree that banned the export of this map to any foreign powers.
If this fell into the wrong hands, could have compromised whole empires, really.
Oh yeah, of course.
But could this map also have been so closely guarded because it actually contained a secret clue to the location of the Fountain of Youth?
There's this Latin writing on the back. Do you know what it says?
Well, I've actually been able to digitize it and clean it up a little bit for you guys.
Yeah, okay.
And so we've got an edited version here. Right down here it says something kind of interesting. The square island they call St. John, near Hispaniola, which has today the Dominican Republic and Haiti on it. He goes on to say the land surrounded on all sides with islands, like a hen with her chickens, is Cuba, the large isle. Oh, it's surprisingly accurate, despite the fact that it had only been visited once or twice.
Right.
But the final and most interesting passage here for you guys, at the north, marvelous lands and marvelous countries have been found.
Marvelous lands?
Marvelous lands to the north.
So north of this Cuba, we have this really large landmass, which they're calling Isla de Bimini.
What does Bimini mean, do you know?
Bimini is the Indian word for water of life.
Unbelievable.
This map, built strategically by an empire, is relaying information of a land so valuable, so important, that it holds something called the water of life. I mean, this is what we've been looking for this whole time, the fountain of youth.
Have you been able to figure out what landmass Bimini is representing?
That is, roughly speaking, where Florida is on a modern map.
Unbelievable. Ponce de Leon was using this map, seeing the island of Bimini and saying, I need to go check out these sacred waters.
Every clue on the Martyr map tells us that Ponce de Leon went to Florida in search of the Fountain of Youth. The only problem is that Florida is nearly 66,000 square miles, and we need to figure out a way to narrow down our massive search area.
I mean, we're definitely on the right track. The question is, where in Florida was he heading to? 500 years after Ponce de Leon, historians still to this day don't know exactly where he went.
However, Ponce de Leon's ship's movements throughout the Caribbean before reaching Florida are heavily documented. If we can retrace his route through those waters, it could help us uncover the place he made landfall.
So we started Puerto Rico, goes west past Hispaniola to the edge of what is now Haiti, then cuts kind of back around, goes around the outside of the Bahamas, and then cuts down towards Florida.
We know he rounded the Cape. At some point, he stopped on the westernmost side of the peninsula. Where did he stop?
Right, where was his landing point in Florida? I think the facts are still in the map that he used.
Ponce de Leon's last known location was somewhere off the southwestern coast of Florida. So overlaying a modern satellite map with the Peter Martyr map should help us identify a potential waterway Ponce de Leon used to launch his expedition into Florida.
I'm gonna change the opacity.
Nice.
The orientation's weird. I feel like we gotta flip it.
Hey, now you're onto something.
I think if we reorient the map, the southern tip of Bimini is actually the west coast of Florida.
Yeah, look at that. Look at this big inlet, man. If he's working his way up, this is clearly where he would have dropped in and checked it out. What does this match up with?
Well, it looks like it lines up with a modern-day Marco Island, and there's plenty of protected waters there where they could have anchored their ship.
I think this is a great place to start, man.
Is it really possible that somewhere deep in the wilds of Florida lies the secret of immortality? A rare archaeological map could be the key to answering that question.
This is mapping his movement, searching for the Fountain of Youth.
Following clues in a 1511 map of the Caribbean, we may have pinpointed where Ponce de Leon began his search for the Fountain of Youth. By lining up this map with a modern satellite image, we determined that Ponce de Leon could have made landfall on the west coast of Florida, somewhere near Marco Island.
So, a lot of historic records say that Ponce de Leon is in fact the first European to step foot on the peninsula of Florida.
So I got in touch with an expert on early southern Florida history.
Oh, cool.
Hey, Craig.
Hello.
How you doing?
Craig Woodward is a historian who spent his life studying the history of this region and the conquistadors who explored it.
We've found ourselves on a bit of a expedition here in this idea that Ponce de Leon may have come here in search of the Fountain of Youth.
Are we on the right track?
You are on the right track. There was a well-known belief from the Indians from the Caribbean that the Fountain of Youth existed here. I don't think the original Caribbean legend had anything to do with a fountain. It was really added on by the Spanish. It was either a river, or it was a stream, and a cave, or a cavern. So any of those are possible.
Okay, so we're not looking for a fountain, but a source of water, really.
Yes.
So what happens? Ponce de Leon arrives in Florida.
Well, he found that the Indians weren't too friendly, and they immediately went to war. He had some battles with the Indians, the Calusa that were here in this area, and then he left.
So it sounds like the Calusa were fighting tooth and nail to make sure that the Spaniards did not get off their boats and start exploring this region.
Yes.
They were clearly, protecting something of immense value to them.
Is it possible the Native Americans were protecting more than just their land?
Now this is where things get real interesting. 8 years later, Ponce de Leon came back to the exact same spot.
So let me get this straight. So Ponce de Leon comes here 1513, gets battled off by the Calusa, who clearly don't want the Spanish here. He comes back to the same place where he got his butt kicked 8 years ago?
So it seems actually a little crazy, because you have the entire state of Florida.
Right.
This is where you fought a battle. Why do you come back to an area that wasn't so pleasant the first time?
Right.
But he came back, and the second time, he didn't last but about 3 weeks, and he ended up in another huge battle where he ended up being shot and then died.
Wow.
The fact that Ponce de Leon was willing to risk his life by returning to this exact area of Florida suggests that he was after something very important. But unfortunately, with his death, the trail runs cold.
His secrets were buried with him. How can we pick it up from here?
Well, interestingly enough, a number of years after Ponce de Leon died, there was a Spaniard, Hernando de Soto. He also explored this area, and some people believe that he was continuing where Ponce de Leon had left off.
Really?
So that might be a good place to start.
Okay.
I think that's what we need to do.
Ponce de Leon may have died in 1521, but the legend and potentially the secret location of the Fountain of Youth clearly survived him. So we're headed to DeSoto National Memorial Park in Charles Point, Florida, to meet with an expert on Hernando de Soto.
Pat, what's up, man?
How you guys doing?
All right, Justin, nice to see you, man.
Justin, Pat,
Hey, boss, Emiliano.
Emiliano, nice to meet you.
Pat Buzzle is the president of the Hernando de Soto Historical Society, an organization dedicated to preserving the history of De Soto's expedition here in Florida.
Tell us a little bit about De Soto, his character, what he was after.
So he was commissioned by the king to explore the southeastern United States. The king would have looked at him as somebody he was sending to conquer this area and colonize, but the monarchy had many things that they were sending their explorers out for. Some say he could have even been looking for the Fountain of Youth.
Really? I mean, do you think the monarchy itself believed in the Fountain of Youth?
Well, at that time, yes, the monarchy definitely believed the Fountain of Youth existed.
Unbelievable.
The monarchy in Spain understood that you don't always have to wage war to conquer a territory, and controlling key assets could be just as effective. And what more powerful asset could there be than the sacred healing waters of the Fountain of Youth, a mystical site revered by the indigenous people throughout the Caribbean.
Just seems like this would have been such an important objective, even if it was kind of handled in a quiet way.
So I guess, how would we go about tracing De Soto's voyage.
There's been archaeological finds that have told people that he was here.
What kind of archaeological finds are there related to De Soto's expedition?
They have found beads to trade with the Indians.
It was not uncommon for conquistadors like Hernando de Soto to travel with glass beads, to peacefully bargain with Native American tribes. And each conquistador had their own unique handcrafted bead design.
These types of beads were tied to Hernando de Soto expedition.
Where are you finding these beads? Where are they?
We've found a map that shows where the beads have been found through archaeological digs.
It's incredible looking at this. It's kind of like the breadcrumb trail of De Soto's travels. I mean, if he was searching for the Fountain of Youth, this is mapping his movement.
Unbelievable.
I think what's most logical is goes up, curves back down, snakes up, and then it's at the Mississippi really where the trail ends.
Certainly, there's no way that he went to the Mississippi and didn't cross it. You see, like the last bead on the map is right at about...
Right before Arkansas.
So the question is, did he find what he was looking for?
In Arkansas.
Could it really be possible that Hernando de Soto made it as far north as Arkansas on his search for the Fountain of Youth? To find out, we need to see if anyone has found evidence of Spanish explorers in that region.
Well, I've never heard of the Spanish conquistadors in Arkansas, but maybe it's a footnote in history that we don't know about. Let's see what we got here. Do you have anything here? So I'm looking up Spanish explorers and settlers in Arkansas.
Mid-1500s?
Mid-1500s. I'm not finding too much, but this is actually interesting.
What you got?
There's a cave system that was found in a place called Sulphur Springs, Arkansas.
And there's this guy there, Paul Linscott, who says he's found
Several artifacts in the cave connected to Spanish conquistadors.
Really?
Doesn't have any more details, but
One of the places that people were looking for the Fountain of Youth was inside of caves.
exactly. I mean, this could be it. I mean, to think that an explorer like De Soto ended up this far inland is a wild theory, but it's starting to feel plausible.
If the artifacts found in the cave really date back to the time of De Soto's mission, we might be able to prove his search led him to these forests. And as incredible as it may sound, maybe to the Fountain of Youth.
Take a closer look, see what he's got.
Paul? Hello.
Paul Linscott is the current owner of the cave and has been exploring its depths for over 20 years.
So, Paul, we believe the explorer and Spanish conquistador De Soto might have made it all the way into Arkansas in search of the Fountain of Youth.
So really, we're looking for any evidence that the Spanish may have been here at some point in history.
Well, I have something pretty special for you that I found here in a secret room we uncovered inside the cavern.
What is this?
A Spanish sword.
Paul believes this sword dates back to the mid-1500s, the exact time period De Soto was in this region. Whether it was his blade or one of his soldiers, there's no doubt the Spanish were here. We could be closer than ever to finally discovering the Fountain of Youth. Following the trail of famed Spanish conquistador Hernando de Soto and his hunt for the Fountain of Youth, we've just uncovered physical evidence.
What is this?
A 500-year-old sword that suggests his quest could have brought him to a cave system on this property in Arkansas.
It was found inside the cavern in a secret room.
So, is there any chance this could be De Soto's sword?
It could be, or one of his men.
Really?
So the room was closed off.
Yes, it was sealed up, and we broke into it, and we discovered this laying on top of a rock.
Wow.
It almost looked like they set it up like a compass.
That's conquistador craft right there. Pointing a sword in the direction of a treasure. I mean, it doesn't get more by the book.
With France and England also sending explorers to the New World in search of riches, Spanish conquistadors relied on alternative methods of mapping, including coded maps and symbols to protect the secrecy of their discoveries. But could the treasure this particular sword was pointing towards be the Fountain of Youth?
Was anything else found on this property that we could possibly tie to this sword or this time period.
Yes, I have something to show you.
Oh,
It's
man.
just right around the corner.
Let's check it out.
What is this? Wow.
This right here is a map for the cavern that's been carved into this rock right here.
Wow. Petroglyph map.
This is an actual map of the cave itself?
Yes.
Oh, man, we like that.
We've had it looked at. They did verify that it's dating back to the Spanish conquistadors.
Wow, so they were here, they checked out this cave. For some reason, they felt compelled to know how to get back into certain locations on this cave.
For De Soto, or one of his men, to take the time to chisel a map of the cave into this stone, they must have been trying to guide future explorers to something very valuable, hidden deep inside.
This is essentially a treasure map. So what exactly is this showing us?
Well, right here is the entrance of the cavern, and you can see how it comes up here, curves around here, and then it gets into this big room right here.
That's where you found the sword?
A room right off here, yes.
Okay.
But you can see there's lots of other places and passages here, but they're a little hard to see.
Yeah. Maybe if we pour some water on it. This is an old trick we always use with petroglyphs. Helps you distinguish the lines.
Yeah, look at that route, man.
I mean, the route is super clear. The water goes straight down. Look at that. There's tunnels leading in every direction. It's like a maze.
Which way was the sword pointing?
The sword was pointing kind of in a direction going back this way.
So
North.
further into the cave.
So
Yes.
up here.
Is this all explored? Has this whole cave been explored?
We are still exploring it. We're still finding new rooms and new passages, new chambers.
If you'd let us get in that cave, I would love to explore this area.
Some of these areas are going to be difficult.
Paul, we understand that. Look, we're pretty expert cavers. We've got a little bit of experience. If we find anything, any treasure, it's yours.
And if we come out 10 years younger, you'll know we found it.
Okay, well, let's check it out.
Paul is the latest of multiple generations of people who have owned this cave and looked for treasure and followed the legends. So myself and Emiliano, that's where we're gonna go.
Well, there we go.
Boots under the ground, inside of this cave, and seeing where this sword was pointing and where it might lead.
Ready? Well, let's see what we have. What secrets do you hold?
The cave's massive tunnel system covers over 16 miles, some of it never seen before by human eyes. Navigating dangerous flooded caverns and narrow channels, we could be just steps away from uncovering the hidden location of the Fountain of Youth.
Dude, holy look at this.
In our search for the legendary Fountain of Youth, we've tracked its potential location to a cave system in Arkansas, where centuries-old Spanish artifacts have been discovered.
What secrets do you hold?
In a chamber deep inside of the cave, a Spanish sword was found pointing due north, like the needle of a compass. We believe it might be a clue, potentially guiding us to something very valuable.
This cave is really like going through the wormhole. You're entering this humid, dark space. It really feels like a place where you'd bury a dark secret or potentially a treasure.
Oh, it opens up, man. Wow. All right, so this is the room where the sword was found, which means that that is the direction where it was pointing.
I'm guessing there's something back there.
Yeah.
That tunnel keeps going. So we take one passageway and it just gets narrower and narrower.
This is super tight.
We're on our stomachs, belly crawling. Oxygen levels start disappearing. This looks like it keeps going. But even as you're, crawling through the mud, you can't help but think, maybe it's the next one, Maybe that next chamber, that's the one that hides the Fountain of Youth.
Well, that is officially a dead end. All right, man, let's just head back. Let's see if we can find another passageway to explore.
You know that if you keep on pushing, you're gonna find something. You can feel the temperature changing a little bit.
The legend's pretty clear about the fountain being a flowing body of water, you know? I mean, definitely not this stagnant stuff here, man.
What scares me the most about caving is unless you have a perfect understanding of what you're dealing with, a real blueprint of a cave, you're really at the mercy of your luck.
Oh, hey, buddy, what are you doing down there?
Yeah, I'm looking for my contact lenses. Yeah. Keep going.
Looks like a dead end to me, man.
Come on.
That's definitely...
That's 2 strikes.
After 3 hours and 2 dead ends, we have one final passageway to explore.
This looks promising. Yeah, I'm seeing a little hole back here. No. It's dead end. Dude, this whole cave, it's like it's built to suck the life out of you. We can't just keep blindly crawling through tunnel after tunnel.
And think about it. I mean, with the water levels in this cave rising and falling over the last 500 years, these caves could have changed a lot since DeSoto was here. I mean, just behind this dead end or anywhere in this cave, there could be hidden chambers.
I think the best idea is get outside, hit the phones, and bring in some reinforcements, man. See if we can't get some tech that might be able to help us see what we can't see.
You don't have to ask me twice, man.
To get a clear picture of just what's inside this cave system, I put in a call to my friend, who works at a company that specializes in cutting-edge 3D mapping technology.
There he is. There's the kid.
Great.
Fat. How you been, man? Good
You
to
been my
see
man.
Good. Emiliano.
Leon?
Great to meet you, man.
Meet you.
We're at a loss, man. We need to find maybe secret chambers,
Things that might have been walled up.
hidden passageways, anything that could lead us further into the cave.
I got something that might help you guys out.
What do you have?
Some of Fat's fabulous toys.
New portable high-tech 3D mapping technology.
Right over here.
Cave, sweet cave.
Here we are.
That brought us the GeoSlam Zeb Horizon,
So this is the handheld part that you're going to be using.
a scanner that uses laser technology to produce 360-degree 3D images of indoor environments. It'll help us identify any tunnels or chambers we couldn't have seen with the naked eye.
So what are we looking at in terms of value if we break this thing?
Just a small price of 50K.
Oh,
50K.
50K. Okay.
Gear me up, brother.
Here we go.
Let's take it in there, man. Let's go explore. Regular old Ghostbuster you are, huh?
Here we go.
This handheld scanner emits a continuous array of laser beams in all directions. When they hit a solid surface, they're reflected back to the scanner, which records the location and distance traveled. Using an algorithm, these data points are then arranged into a visual map of the cave system.
Let's see what we have. I mean, we've done a good scan of the cave as we know it.
I think I got it. We got as good as we're gonna get in here.
Oh, that's a workout.
Everything's intact.
Yeah.
Good.
It survived.
But we got something, man.
FAT is able to take all the millions of points of data recorded by the GeoSlam and stitch them all together to reveal a 3D recreation of the interior of the cave.
This is ridiculous.
Somewhere in this digital map could be the secret location of the Fountain of Youth.
It looks like a photograph.
Yeah. See this one point right here where it kind of goes down? It's
Right.
a little bit blurry. This seems like there's an opening.
You're telling me
This
that
way.
we were literally standing on top of a whole nother chamber.
Yes.
This is exactly where we need to be searching.
This is our only chance. Our scan only revealed one hidden chamber.
Can you feel that? Kind of cold air?
Yeah, actually, I do.
Just on the other side of this wall could be the secret
I've got a chamber here, man.
to eternal life.
Oh, dude. Wow. Holy. That's insane.
In our hunt for the Fountain of Youth, we've discovered a cave system in Arkansas that was once explored by Spanish conquistadors. Now, a 3D map
This is ridiculous.
has revealed a hidden chamber.
No way. I've got a chamber here, man. Oh, dude. Oh, dude, holy. Look at this.
Wow.
It's a petroglyph, man.
That's gorgeous.
It's still intact. I can't believe this. I don't know what these things are, but if De Soto was here and hid this secret message in the bowels of this cave,
This could be the key to unlocking the mystery of the Fountain of Youth.
wow. I mean, this is some kind of signal. I can't figure out what it says.
Take some photographs, take it up to the surface, and really try and figure out what we're looking at.
We've searched every inch of this cave system, and while we did not find the fountain, this carving, seemingly left by De Soto and his men, could be a major lead. What is this carving trying to tell us? And what does it have to do with the Fountain of Youth?
I mean, that to me clearly looks like an eye.
I mean, we have a series of triangles connected. I mean, a hooked shape. Hear me out for a second. What if it's directions? Perhaps this is like a secret map to find the Fountain of Youth.
You think this is not just a petroglyph, it's actually directions.
Let me take out a map. And maybe we can see if we can match up any of these shapes to the landmarks on it.
I mean, the first thing I'm seeing that jumps right out at me is this, man. Look at that.
That looks exactly like our symbol.
That is unmistakable.
Those triangles on the petroglyph might be the Zigzag Mountains.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
It might be a long shot, but dude, look at this.
There's a body of water that looks oblong, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
The eye kind of matches Ouachita Lake, and this fits Ouachita River.
Wow.
I mean, if you add it together, these aren't just symbols. I mean, they're literally landmarks.
This might be just a theory, but it's the best lead we have.
To confirm that De Soto and his men left behind a coded map to the Zigzag Mountains, and that this place could be the location of the Fountain of Youth, we're meeting a local historian who knows the legends of this region better than anyone else.
I think she'll be the next key to helping us unlock this mystery. Hey, Lynn?
Yes.
Historian Lynn Barrett has studied the folklore of the indigenous people who've called this land home for over 8,000 years.
So tell us a little bit about this region.
You're in the Zigzag Mountains, which are part of the Ouachita. And the Native Americans, this was very important land because it was believed at one point in time that there was a dragon that lived here named Magmathon. That was Magmathon, yes.
That's your old band's name, right? Your old death metal band, Magmathon?
But Magmathon came and was creating havoc in this area. And eventually, it was the Great Spirit that defeated Magmathon and threw him underneath the earth here. And it's said that Magmathon is the one that heats our hot springs water. This whole area is sacred because there are a ton of springs in this area. This was known as the Valley of the Vapors by many, many tribes. Any tribe member could come and heal their sick and wounded inside the valley where the hot springs were located.
Wow. Okay.
Without the fear of reprisal from a warring nation.
Okay,
So
that's pretty
clearly
strong.
we're
Yes.
dealing with what we believe are magical, spiritual, healing waters that are so powerful that it is in the benefit of everyone to have it be a common shared space to take your wounded, take your sick, and refresh them.
So we know that there are healing waters here. Is it possible that Hernando de Soto was also here?
Or are we completely off base?
One of the things that we've heard through the oral histories of some of the Native American tribes is that he did make it into this area.
This is amazing. De Soto arrived here. Clearly there's something here.
What happened is he had a 3-day battle with a tribe known as the Tula. The conquistadors won, but Hernando was pretty severely injured.
Wow.
So they brought him into this area and he bathed in the water and recovered.
So the story is that he was injured, he went to the sacred waters,
And he recovered.
And he recovered.
So he was healed.
He was healed.
there's your Fountain of Youth.
We have a mountain of evidence at this point. I mean, we have the story of this region being a healing area, De Soto's battle and his healing. We know we're in the right area. So I guess the question is, Where are these waters?
Well, we don't know specifically what spring he bathed in. My guess is that he probably didn't bathe in the main part. He probably found a much more secluded area, which would have been halfway up the mountains.
Perhaps if I show you a map, do you think you might be able to give us a place to start?
So my guess is that he was somewhere between the peak and the Honeysuckle Trail.
Let's check it out.
Lynn has given us a 5-square-mile search zone of where she thinks DeSoto may have gone. The only thing left to do is get boots on the ground and see if we can find the Fountain of Youth.
Why don't we zigzag between Honeysuckle and Hot Springs? If we get to Dogwood, we've gone too far.
Work our way, kind of work the incline a little bit.
And then get off the trail, see if we hear some water.
We could be following in the footsteps of Hernando de Soto as he searched for the waters that he hoped would heal his wounds.
You hear that?
Come from over here.
Could the legend of his miraculous recovery actually be true?
There's water somewhere here. I hear it. The forest is thick here. It's still very green, so this has got to be a good place for water. We're looking for any traces of runoff, any rivulets. It's close. Super close. Hey, look. Oh, it's water.
On our mission to find the Fountain of Youth, a legendary body of water said to grant immortality, we've narrowed down our search zone to a 5-square-mile area in the Zigzag Mountains of Arkansas.
Hey, look. Oh. What do you think, man? This be it?
I mean, this is right in the area that Lynn told us to look.
There's clearly something mystical about this place. The silence, the isolation. Feels different.
Could these be the very waters that centuries of explorers lost their lives trying to discover? The very spring that brought Hernando de Soto back to health after he was wounded in battle.
I think this has to be it, man. What better place to heal?
Yeah. Going back for thousands of years, this may have been the very place that indigenous people came with their wounded, with their sick, and bathed in here and were healed. It looks like 1,000 other creeks, but at the same time, this could be the true Fountain of Youth.
My question is, if we imbibe some of this sacred water, do you think we'll reverse our age?
We're definitely gonna drink the water.
Absolutely. Well, you certainly look younger.
Yeah. You feeling any magical effects?
I certainly feel at peace, but I don't feel any younger myself. That said, we should probably take a sample and see what it has inside.
I think it's great.
These waters may not have reversed the hands of time, but that's not to say they don't have some kind of restorative magical powers. But to find out if Hernando de Soto really could have been healed by this spring, we need to get this sample to a lab and have it tested.
If there is something special in that water, then suddenly this fountain becomes more than just a sacred location.
Whatever these results are, I mean, they could essentially make or break this investigation.
We sent our sample ahead of us.
Let's check it out.
And have just been told that the results are in.
All right, ready for this?
Yeah, let's check it out.
After you, my friend.
Thanks.
Dr. Churchill?
Yes.
How you doing, Justin?
Hi, Justin. Pleasure to meet you. Hey, I'm Emiliano.
Nice to meet you.
Dr. Dana Churchill is a specialist in regenerative medicine and spent the last 2 decades pursuing the science of longevity therapies.
So let me draw a picture for you. I'm Hernando de Soto. I'm almost fatally wounded in battle.
Right.
Local friendly indigenous group, they show me these waters. My massive lacerations all over my body are healed incredibly fast. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I definitely think that's possible.
I guess the question we have is, What are the test results behind the water we sent you?
The way we tested your sample is we put it through a liquid chromatograph, which basically separates all the different signatures, all the different minerals and things in there.
You're essentially mapping out its chemical makeup.
It's like the thing was alive and I found its DNA. Your spring actually has two of the most powerful healing minerals, silica and silver.
Really?
Yeah. Silica is almost 9% of the water, and silver, it's like 50%. It's just a huge amount of silver in that water.
To put all of this into perspective, our water sample has twice the amount of silica you'd find in an average woodland stream. But even more surprising, it has 220 times the amount of silver. That number is off the charts.
Silica has really good tendencies for connective tissue, especially brain and spinal cord and neurons. And silver has very powerful healing properties because it kills every kind of microbe. 650 types of bacteria, viral infections, parasites, just really powerful healing properties.
So you're saying that the water that we brought you, if you were to have long-term exposure, either ingesting it or soaking in it, it could have positive effects on battle wounds.
Yeah, especially soaking in it.
Wow, so this is like essentially super water.
Your water is packed with good stuff.
As explorers, you can be blinded by the strength of a legend. But I think in this case, we couldn't have asked for better results. I think if there's one lesson from this is that all myths have some nugget of truth. This one had a very clear scientific basis.
With the science on our side, I think we found what could actually be the Fountain of Youth.
Following a legend written on a 500-year-old map, we've unraveled the truth behind the expeditions of legendary conquistadors. From the Florida coast to a cave deep in the forests of Arkansas. Thanks to 3D laser mapping technology, we've discovered a lost carving that turned out to be a cryptic map that led us to a sacred healing spring. We may not have found a magic fount that turns the old young again, but thanks to scientific analysis, I'm convinced that what we found was in fact the real Fountain of Youth.